Certainly, historical misconceptions can spark interesting conversations at a family barbecue. Here are 10 misconceptions to bring up during family barbecue. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to our channel. Christopher Columbus discovered America. The misconception that Christopher Columbus discovered America is a commonly held belief, but it overlooks the historical fact that indigenous peoples had already inhabited the American continents for millennia before Columbus's arrival in 1492. Columbus, an Italian explorer sailing under the Spanish flag, embarked on a voyage seeking a westward route to Asia, but instead landed in the Caribbean. While Columbus's voyages initiated contact between Europe and the America, they cannot be considered true discoveries in the sense of encountering previously unknown lands. Recognizing the presence of diverse and advanced civilizations in the Americas long before Columbus challenges the Eurocentric perspective and emphasizes the rich history of indigenous peoples on these continents. Napoleon Bonaparte was extremely short. One of the enduring historical misconceptions is the belief that Napoleon Bonaparte was exceptionally short. In reality, Napoleon's height was approximately 5 feet 6 inches, which was just slightly below the average height for men in France during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The myth of his short stature likely stemmed from comparisons with British and other European leaders of his time, as well as the British propaganda that sought to diminish his stature both literally and figuratively. Nevertheless, Napoleon's height was not unusual for his era, and he should not be remembered primarily for his stature, but for his significant impact on European history as a military commander and statesman. The Pilgrims and the First Thanksgiving. The traditional narrative of the Pilgrims and the First Thanksgiving is a historical misconception that oversimplifies a complex historical event. While it is true that in 1621, Pilgrims who had settled at Plymouth, Massachusetts, did share a feast with Wampanoag Native Americans, it was not the idyllic and harmonious celebration often portrayed. The encounter between the two groups was marked by a history of tension, cultural misunderstandings, and the devastating impact of diseases brought by European settlers on native populations. Furthermore, the concept of Thanksgiving as an annual holiday did not emerge until much later in American history. It is essential to recognize the nuances of this event and the broader history of colonialism and its effects on indigenous peoples when discussing the first Thanksgiving. Marie Antoinette's "let them eat cake" remark. The famous phrase, "let them eat cake," often attributed to Marie Antoinette, is a historical misconception. There is no concrete evidence to suggest that the Queen of France ever uttered these words. The phrase itself had been in circulation for centuries before Marie Antoinette's time and had been attributed to various individuals. It is crucial to recognize that this attribution is likely a result of political propaganda and anti-monarchical sentiment during the tumultuous period of the French Revolution. Marie Antoinette faced significant criticism and was portrayed as disconnected from the suffering of the French populace, but the specific claim that she callously suggested cake as an alternative to bread for the hungry is not supported by historical records. The Dark Ages were completely dark. The notion that the Dark Ages were entirely devoid of intellectual and cultural progress is a historical misconception. While the term Dark Ages traditionally refers to the early medieval period in Europe, following the fall of the Roman Empire, it does not accurately depict the era's complexities. While this period did witness significant disruptions, such as political instability and economic challenges, it was not a time of complete darkness. Many achievements and advancements occurred during this era, including the preservation of classical knowledge by monks, the development of early universities, the Byzantine Empire's cultural flourishing, and the Islamic Golden Age, marked by advances in science, medicine, and philosophy. Characterizing the entire era as dark oversimplifies the historical reality, as it was a time of transition and cultural exchange that laid the groundwork for later developments in Europe and beyond. George Washington and the Cherry Tree. The anecdote of young George Washington confessing to chopping down a cherry tree and saying, "I cannot tell a lie," is a cherished American legend, but not a historical fact. This story, which aims to depict Washington's honesty and integrity from a young age, is a fabrication that first appeared in a biography written by Parson Mason Weems in the early 19th century, long after Washington's death. The cherry tree tale is a prime example of how folklore and myth can intertwine with historical figures to create enduring narratives that shape our perception of them. While George Washington was indeed a figure of great moral character, the specific cherry tree incident should be viewed as a moralistic legend rather than a genuine historical event. Vikings wore horned helmets. The misconception that Vikings wore horned helmets is a stereotype perpetuated by popular culture and artistic depictions, but does not align with historical accuracy. There is no evidence to support the idea that Vikings, who lived during the Viking Age, approximately the 8th to 11th centuries, wore horned helmets in battle. In fact, historical artifacts, including Viking helmets found in archaeological excavations, reveal that their headgear typically consisted of simple practical helmets without horns. The concept of horned helmets likely originated from misinterpretations of ancient artwork and a desire to create visually striking imagery for entertainment and storytelling purposes. Viking warriors were known for their remarkable craftsmanship, but their helmets were designed for protection, not adorned with horns. The Salem witch trials and burning witches. The misconception that witches were burned at the stake during the Salem witch trials is a historical inaccuracy. In reality, the Salem witch trials, which occurred in 1692 in colonial Massachusetts, resulted in the execution of accused witches through methods like hanging, not burning. The belief in witchcraft hysteria led to a series of trials and the tragic deaths of several individuals, primarily women, who were accused of practicing witchcraft. While witch hunts and trials have occurred throughout history in various parts of the world, the Salem witch trials were notable for their impact on American history and the eventual recognition of the injustices done to those accused. The association of witches with being burned at the stake is more commonly associated with European witch trials, but it does not apply to the Salem trials in colonial America. The Trojan horse was a giant wooden horse. Contrary to popular belief, the Trojan horse, the iconic symbol of subterfuge and deceit, was not a colossal wooden horse, but rather a cleverly designed covered structure. In Greek mythology and history, during the Trojan War, Greek warriors concealed themselves within a large, hollow wooden horse, made to appear as a gift to the Trojans. This ruse allowed them to infiltrate the city of Troy, leading to its eventual downfall. The term Trojan horse has since become synonymous with deceptive strategies. While the details of the horse's construction vary in different accounts, it was not an enormous statue-like figure, as often depicted in art and literature. Instead, it was a brilliant tactical maneuver employed by the Greeks to gain entry to Troy and ultimately achieve victory. Betsy Ross designed the first American flag. The widely held belief that Betsy Ross designed the first American flag is a historical misconception that has become deeply ingrained in American folklore. While Betsy Ross was indeed a skilled seamstress and a figure of the American Revolutionary era, there is limited historical evidence to support her specific role in the design of the first American flag. The flag's design, featuring 13 stars in a circle and 13 alternating red and white stripes, is often credited to a committee led by Francis Hopkinson, a signer of the Declaration of Independence and a notable designer. The true origins of the first American flag remain a subject of debate among historians, but it is essential to recognize that Betsy Ross's contribution to the flag's design is not definitively established in historical records. That's all for today's video. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comment section below. And make sure to like and subscribe to our channel.